The cancellation of Stargate Atlantis was a major blow not only to fans, but also to the Stargate franchise as a whole. It was a sad day for many. But did you know that Joe Flannigan, who played Lieutenant Colonel John Sheppard, actually tried to save Stargate Atlantis following the show's cancellation?
So, it's unfortunate. I think everybody here would like to see a little more Stargate, right?
Hey everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Stargate Central. At Stargate Central, we're on a mission to keep the Stargate franchise alive, one unique story at a time. If you're a Stargate fan and want to explore more Stargate content, then hit that subscribe button and join us on our mission. Now, if you're a long-time fan of the Stargate franchise, you might know about this video topic. It's become known for some time that actor Joe Flannigan tried to save Stargate Atlantis and the wider Stargate franchise. On August 20th, 2008, it was announced that Season 5 of Atlantis would be its last. The producers were ambitious, announcing that Atlantis would continue with at least one 2-hour direct-to-DVD movie. It seems that part of the original plan to cancel Atlantis as a series was to ensure the success of the potential films. We've also recently discussed the proposed Stargate Extinction movie in a video. You can check that concept out here on the channel. The cancellation of Atlantis was due to many factors. As executive producer Joseph Malozzi pointed out, one of them was simply the series' cost. The Canadian dollar's rise and the American dollar's decline had made life harder for Canadian television since it had become more expensive. Amid a challenging economy, this was one of the primary reasons of the show's cancellation. Many were rightfully angry at MGM for the cancellation. Of course, many wanted Stargate Atlantis to continue. It had so much potential to go into a 6th season and beyond. If Stargate SG-1 could go for 10 seasons and 2 movies, there is no reason why Atlantis could not do the same. The 5th season of Atlantis started setting up a ton of fantastic storylines, like the Veneer, the Ghost of Dr. Weir. Oh, how I would loved it if Tori Higginson could have returned, but that is a conversation for another time. I recently did a video on the channel that discusses the continuing story of Stargate Atlantis, as told through the Stargate Homecoming novel. These stories are from a fantastic range of books, so go watch that video and make sure to read them. I've linked it below. The story of Queen Death would have been fantastic to explore on screen. Also, Atlantis being on an ice world, very cool. Not to mention the Janai still being up to their shady ways. So much potential for new stories, it's always here with Stargate Atlantis. Joe Flannigan was naturally unhappy with the cancellation of Stargate Atlantis. It's obvious that Flannigan, like many of the Atlantis cast members, loved working on the show. You can tell that from the many interviews, behind the scenes content and panel conversations we've seen over the years. Flannigan loved Stargate so much that with the cancellation of Atlantis, he tried to purchase the franchise to film more episodes. Following the cancellation of Atlantis, MGM would go through bankruptcy, which terminated the entire Stargate franchise along with all their other projects. However, before the bankruptcy began, Joe Flannigan set to work on ensuring that fans could see more Stargate and that adventures would continue. He contacted investors and basically made informal arrangements to either buy or lease the Stargate franchise. Flannigan explained this during the Edmonton Expo in 2013. Essentially, a few years prior, Flannigan successfully completed his negotiations to lease the Stargate series and produce a 6th season of Atlantis, potentially more as well. It seemed that it was all Flannigan's and his team's work. He took it upon himself to secure the funding from various investors, as the MGM at this point, before their bankruptcy, would be unable to fund it due to their financial difficulties, which we now know would be the prelude to their bankruptcy. He successfully secured the backing to produce a 20-episode season of Atlantis. And moving on to the production itself, things would change here. Flannigan and his team began with a planned move from the MGM studios in Vancouver to a studio located in Europe. The goal here was to save money on the production. Flannigan's team, the investors, and MGM came up with all the numbers, as well as securing and negotiating the rights for broadcasting of a new series. This effectively meant there would be a 10-year lease of the Stargate franchise. You've got to admit, it is super cool to see an actor working this hard to continue the story of such a beloved show. Watch this video and you'll see Joe Flannigan being so passionate about his love and passion for continuing the Stargate Atlantis series. It's great.
So what I had done is during that process, I had contacted a few investors and we had made an informal arrangement to either buy or lease the franchise. And I led a small group of people and we had the informal agreement. The guy who ran MGM said, I can't let you buy the franchise. That would require a level of approval that we can't even muster up these days because we're going kind of south here. But I can maybe make an informal agreement to lease this thing like on a 10-year lease with these various numbers. And we came up with all the numbers, and we basically said, okay, that'll work for us, that'll work for you. Then they went through the process of bankruptcy, and when they emerged, nobody was there that I had previously spoken to. So I had to re-engage this conversation with Spyglass, which manages the library for MGM. And I went in there and I said, you know, I have had fairly extensive talks with you guys before you went through bankruptcy, and this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to lease the franchise, and I plan to shoot 20 episodes, and we're going to shoot them in Europe. We're going to shoot them for this cost. We're going to pre-sell them all over the world, and we'll come back to American networks. And it's one of those things that the audiences want now. It's one of those things that makes for a good business model. And because when I went in, they said, what are your plans? These are my plans. And they were fairly expensive, with real money. And the answer was pretty much like, wow, that's a really good idea. Thank you. And, you know, I wasn't sure if they were going to go do it, or whether they just weren't interested.
Unfortunately, while Flannigan's plan was a fantastic idea for continuing Stargate Atlantis, it did fall through. MGM soon filed for bankruptcy in 2010, which essentially torpedoed the plan to purchase a franchise and continue the story of Stargate Atlantis. While Flannigan and his crew were fixed with their numbers and their ways of doing things, the MGM bankruptcy ultimately undid all of this. When the company emerged on the other side of their business dealings, all the people Joe Flannigan had worked with were ultimately gone. They must have been fired or let go during the bankruptcy process. Unfortunately, the new MGM that emerged declined to work with Joe Flannigan on his new Stargate plan. Spyglass Entertainment now held the rights for Stargate. It meant Flannigan would have to begin negotiations all over again. It's a shame. I would love to have seen what Joe Flannigan had planned for the future of Stargate Atlantis. What would his and his team's vision for a new series look like? As he has mentioned before, Joe Flannigan mentions that he believes Spyglass Entertainment were more interested in working with Roland Emmerich on another feature film, a Stargate film outside of the main continuity of the series.
I believe that they have been talking to Roland Emmerich on and off about whether they want to reboot the movie. Now, it's really interesting how Hollywood works, because the truth is the TV series make far more money than the movie ever made. I think one season of my show alone probably made more money than the actual movie altogether. So why would you want to reboot the movie franchise necessarily and dismissing the whole TV series? So it's part of Hollywood's little weird seduction with glamour and prestige. They want to go for that premium thing that seems cool versus the thing that actually works and the audience wants. And they may come around eventually. But I did reapproach them 6 months later thinking maybe they had a change of heart, and they did not have a change of heart. And I was upset. I never told anybody that for a really long time, because I was like, I can't tell anybody what I'm trying to do, particularly if it doesn't work out, you know, I feel bad. And now it just seems pretty much like a dead thing. Like I can't really engage them on that level.
Thankfully, this never came to be, it seems. I say thankfully, which some of you might view as a negative comment. In reality, I really don't want to see a Stargate series or movie that neglects the legacy that has been established through SG-1, Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. These are characters who have become established and we'd love spending time with over the last 20 years. They deserve to have stories continued in their main universe. Alternative timeline films are a bit hit and miss sometimes. See that with the Star Trek JJ movies. If there is to be new Stargate, I hope it does continue in the established continuity of the Stargate franchise, rather than rebooting and starting again. We don't need that. That's the end of this video. I leave you with this question. What do you think Joe Flannigan's Stargate project would have looked like? Do you think it would have been similar to the Stargate Extinction movie project we hear about, or something else? If you want to hear more adventures from the Stargate franchise, click the video on the end screen now to explore the Stargate Atlantis Homecoming series. For more Stargate videos, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks everyone.